With us, we've got Zeina Khodr back on the line. Zeina, what are you hearing about this action around the compound in Tripoli?
Well, what we are hearing is heavy shelling in the Bab Al-Aziziyah area, and we're seeing dozens of fighters heading towards that direction. So there is pockets of resistance in some areas in Tripoli, and Bab Al-Aziziyah is one of them. And the people of Tripoli really are maintaining law and order in the areas that they are now controlling in Tripoli. They have set up checkpoints, searching cars, and looking for possible Gaddafi supporters, because ever since late last night they were worried about sleeper cells in the capital. So there are clashes taking place at Bab Al-Aziziyah, and we can also tell you that 40 international journalists remain trapped inside the Rixos hotel, which is in an area known as al-Nasr forest. They are not able to leave the hotel because there are Gaddafi men in the building and around the area. They have been trapped there even before the rebel advanced into the city. The government did not allow them to leave. We've been in contact with some of them, and they have been telling us that basically they were held there almost as human shields.
Zeina, do you get a sense that the opposition, the rebels, are going to be seeking revenge now? I mean, if they are able to get this fighting under control around the compound, what do you think is likely to happen next? What's your sense of it?
Well, so far we traveled with the opposition fighters when they entered the capital late yesterday, and we saw them take over some neighborhoods. We did not really see any revenge attacks, but we talked to the residents and the opposition fighters. What they told us was that they knew who were the supporters of Gaddafi in their neighborhoods, and they had the list, and they went after them and they captured them. They said that they handed them over to their authorities, being, members and representatives of the Transitional National Council. We also saw them capture a number of Gaddafi army soldiers as they advanced from the western coastal city of Zawiya to Tripoli. We saw them capture them. We cannot really say what they're, how they're being held and under what conditions, but I haven't seen any revenge attacks, and we did travel with them as they entered various districts of the capital late yesterday.
What we do know at this stage is that Saif al-Islam and his other son Mohammed have been arrested by the rebels. Any idea what is likely to happen to them? We know that, of course, the ICC, the International Criminal Court, is very desperate to get its hands on Saif al-Islam.
Well, from the beginning, and especially when the International Criminal Court issued those arrest warrants, there was a lot of celebration in rebel-held areas across this country, because for them, they don't want to accept anything less than, the leadership to face some sort of accountability for what they believe were the crimes they committed against humanity, against the people. So this is definitely good news for the rebels, because throughout this conflict, there were so many reports about, the possibility of negotiations, and, there were reports that maybe the Libyan leader would be able to actually stay in Tripoli in some remote location. But every Libyan we would talk to would say, we will never accept anything less than them actually facing justice. I just want to mention that heavy shelling, we can hear heavy shelling near the Bab Al-Aziziyah area at the moment. So we'll get. I'm sorry, we have to just move from where we are right now. The streets are quite deserted at the moment. It's armed men who are on the streets, and it seems that fighters are now heading to the Bab Al-Aziziyah.
Okay, are you okay to still carry on talking to us, Zeina?
Yes.
Okay. Zeina, give us a sense of what the city is like. I mean, what sort of condition has it been left in? It's been very hard, obviously, to get any news coming out from Tripoli. It's been effectively under lockdown.
Well, they were suffering from fuel and food shortages, and according to the people, when we talked to them late yesterday, they talked about, that there was a security clampdown. It was very hard for them to move. Now, actually, you see Gaddafi's posters in the streets. Cars are driving over them. Graffiti is now on the wall. They wrote, "Libya is free." In the 17 February movement, we have liberated Libya. Tripoli is now free. So it's a new beginning, really, for the people of this city. Many of them, we saw a lot of them actually in tears last night. They just couldn't believe it, and a lot of them were telling us for 40 years, we were living under oppression for 40 years. We did not taste any, we didn't feel or taste any freedom. So they were overwhelmed with joy. This is really a new beginning for them, but there's still pockets of resistance. As we speak, I can hear a lot of gunfire and shells landing.
We know that Muammar Gaddafi called for tribal groups to come into the capital to protect the capital. Is there a concern that some sort of intertribal fighting is now possible?
Well, this has always been a concern. Let me just give you the situation in the Western Mountains. Whenever rebels from a certain village or town pushed into another village or town, we would see, the village deserted, people never returned, and in some cases this has always really been a concern. As they pushed forward, they left a different kind of conflict behind, and yes, we saw looting at times. People would take the horses, the sheep, and whatever they find in supermarkets. So it's going to be, the repatriation process really is going to be very delicate, and this is why they made it a point when they advanced, for example, into the city of Zawiya or Tripoli. They put the people from the rebels from Zawiya on the front line, and the people of Tripoli. But at the same time, because they didn't want to look like it was some sort of an invading force, but at the same time, the battles really for Zawiya and especially Tripoli was being waged by fighters from across the Western Mountains. We saw this sense of unity among the ranks of the opposition fighters. We can only hope that unity will continue, but once the power struggle begins, it could be a whole different story.
It certainly will do. Zeina Khodr, thank you for that update. From the heart of Tripoli, Zeina confirming there that heavy shelling has been heard near the Bab Al-Aziziyah compound.